What is the truth about guns and crime? Do guns cause crime, or do guns prevent crime? Today we want to look at the facts. Some say that guns kill people. Some say it's not the guns, it's the people that kills people. And some say it's the hammers that kill people. What is the truth? What are the facts? Is there any correlation between guns and crime? President Obama said that if there's one thing that we can do, if there's just one life that we can save, we have an obligation to try. So here's my attempt to try and prevent crime. If we look at the rate of homicides, this is based on population. For every 100,000 people in the United States, 5.8 are killed. In Canada, the number is 1.9. If we look here, Austria, Switzerland, Japan, and Singapore have the lowest homicide rate. Now these are first world countries, and I have taken this from a list of over 100 different countries, and these are the ones that have the lowest crime rates, are Austria, Switzerland, Japan, and Singapore. We're looking at all the facts here, so I'm just narrowing it down for you guys. Violent crimes. United States is about average. United Kingdom, Spain, Germany, Australia all have high in violent crimes. Austria, Switzerland, Japan, and Singapore are low when it comes to violent crime. When it comes to non-violent crime, United States is again average. Canada, Japan, Singapore, and Spain are low on the list. When it comes to gun ownership, do guns prevent crime? Well, the four countries that were the lowest in crime were Austria, Switzerland, Japan, and Singapore. We're also going to be taking a look at the United States and Canada to compare them. The United States has the highest in the world with civilian gun ownership at 88.8 guns per 100 people. Switzerland is third in the world, and Austria is not too far behind. Switzerland and Austria both have a high civilian gun ownership population. Japan and Singapore have very low. In fact, it's about 0.5 guns per 100 people in Japan and Singapore. So we see here that a high rate of ownership in Switzerland and Austria and a low rate in Japan and Singapore both equal low crime rates, low homicides, low violent crimes. So I do not see a correlation here. So what does contribute to crime? Is it law enforcement? Well, we see here that Singapore has a very high amount of law enforcement officers. Japan, Switzerland, and Canada are average. Austria and the United States are low. So Austria has very few law enforcement officers, and Singapore has very many law enforcement officers. But yet they both have low crime. When it comes to prison population and the use of capital punishment and other crime deterrents, we see that the United States has more people in prison than any other nation when it based on population rate. We see that Japan and Singapore have very harsh laws. In fact, in Singapore, there was a person who was beaten with a cane because he decided that he was going to spray graffiti everywhere. Japan and Singapore are very harsh in crime, whereas Austria and Switzerland are rather lax. So there's no correlation there either. I've been told that people that live in the city are more likely to commit crime, but we see that Singapore has a very high population density, and Canada and Switzerland are very low. Yet Switzerland and Singapore both have low crime rate. I've been told no, it's poverty that causes crime. Well, Japan has more poverty than the US. Austria has almost no poverty. Singapore was listed as not applicable. I was not able to find any data on Singapore that was reliable when it came to poverty. So we see here that with a high poverty rate and a low poverty rate, both Austria and Japan have low crime rate. Now here's where I finally found something that actually might contribute. We see that Austria, Switzerland, Japan, and Singapore all have families with both parents present more often than in the US and Canada. Singapore's is estimated. I could not find a complete 100% accurate data, but to the best of my knowledge, this is my best guess, is about 80%. It could be as high as 90, but I wasn't 100% sure on that. But Austria, Switzerland, and Japan, these are for sure the numbers. We see that all of them have a higher rate of families with both parents present. Let's look at a closer look at the US. What is going on? Do hammers really kill more people than rifles? Well, the rifles category does have less people killed than the blunt objects category. That includes clubs and hammers. But there is a firearms not stated category that could have been rifles, but the firearm used is not known. What is ignored here are the handgun kills. The handguns account for almost half the deaths in the US for homicides. Not the AR-15s and the rifles, it is the handguns that are killing people, at least half the people. The assault weapons ban, according to those trying to support it, is trying to reduce the amount of murder and crime. But even if all those firearms not stated were rifles, then it would still reduce crime by less than 1%. That's just not good enough if we're really trying to prevent crime. The only thing I found out of all my research that does prevent crime are parents. The National Crime Prevention. You know, the dog that says, let's take a bite out of crime? They're the ones that say that parents are the one greatest influence on their children when it comes to preventing crime. It's parents and families. There is a direct correlation between divorce rate and the crime rate. There is not a direct correlation between the amount of firearms and the amount of crime. If we really want to try to save a life, let's try to strengthen the family.